So they are taking a lead in all of this.
Thank you very much, Nazanin Moushari, reporting there live from Ras Ajdir on the border between Tunisia and Libya. Thank you. In other news, political rallies in Bahrain continue unabated. Pro-democracy protesters have begun another day of their sit-in at the Pearl Roundabout in the capital, Manama. The area has become a focal point for anti-government demonstrations. It was a scene of violence last week that left 8 people dead. On Monday night, a rally was held in support of the government. Holding posters of the ruling Al Khalifa family, the crowd chanted slogans in support of a unity government. 2 high-ranking U.S. politicians have pledged their support for political change in Tunisia. Senator John McCain and Joe Lieberman met various government and business leaders in Tunis on Monday. They also met with the country's caretaker Prime Minister Mohamed Ghannouchi. Former U.S. presidential candidate McCain said his country remained committed to its military relationship with Tunisia. February marks nearly 2,000 days since the capture by Hamas of Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit. Carl Perry looks at how the case of the missing soldier continues to affect the pace of Israeli-Palestinian negotiations.
A tent has been wedged here in central Jerusalem for more than 4 years, pressuring the Israeli government to secure the release of one of its soldiers. Gilad Shalit was captured in a Hamas operation along Gaza's border that lasted less than 30 minutes. His imprisonment by Hamas, a central issue in Israel, has lasted years.
It's about time, after so many days and months and years, it's time to resolve this crisis and to bring him back home immediately.
Those sentiments probably come as no surprise to any parent. But this father has the burden of weighing the big picture with getting his son back. Freedom for Shalit would require a willingness by Israel to make political sacrifices. Palestinian prisoners for one Israeli soldier.
So 1,000 prisoners could have been a long time ago released. I would call the Palestinian families of the prisoners to put pressure on the Hamas leaders.
The former chief of the army recently handed his post over, and in doing so expressed regret in his failed efforts to free Shalit. And now the incoming chief is facing a new regional reality, one that does not include perhaps a direct line to one of the most major players in the mediation thus far, Egypt.
We do not really know how does the coordination continue. Omar Suleiman was the #1 man for coordinating with the Israelis any kind of operations, and there was a lot of messages going back and forth from both sides.
From the tent in Jerusalem to the city of Tel Aviv on Israel's coast, people wonder, why the stalemate?
The government actually never did enough about Gilad Shalit. We can handle this situation with the Hamas, and I think that we can give them their prisoner, and we will get our prisoner soldier.
Actually, I have, a theory that the government knows where he exactly is, and they don't do enough to bring him back, or they don't want to, pay the price for him.
And while others in the army enjoy a moment away from their posts, residents nearby read the latest news. Nobody except for Hamas will know what kind of access Gilad Shalit has to information. But one thing is absolutely clear. If and when he's released, he'll enter a world that is completely different from the one that he knew. Cal Perry, Al Jazeera, Tel Aviv.
Officials at the Suez Canal have confirmed that 2 Iranian warships have entered the canal. They're the first Iranian naval vessels to pass through the canal since the Iranian Revolution in 1979. The battleship and an accompanying vessel is on its way to Syria. Israel said that it takes a grave view of the move. 31 people have been convicted on conspiracy and murder charges relating to the train fire in Godhra, which killed 60 Hindu pilgrims. Police had beefed up security to prevent further unrest as a result of the verdict, which acquitted 63 people. In 2002, the fire led to anti-Muslim riots, which killed around 1,000 people between February and April. It's been over 6 months now since the devastating floods that hit Pakistan and displaced more than 20 million people. Now, harsh winter conditions in remote parts of the Swat Valley mean residents are cut off and left to fend for themselves. Kamal Haider reports.
The distance to Kalam may be just 85 kilometers, but right now it seems many times more than that. While the sun may be shining in other parts of the valley, the higher elevations are still under the clouds. It is estimated that up to 4 million people had to spend a shelterless winter because of the devastating floods that destroyed everything here. But even for the survivors whose houses are still intact, it is a perpetual struggle. What was once a proper road is now buried under snow. Some sections were completely destroyed during the recent devastating floods. For the past 5 months, the only way to travel to Kalam has been on foot, and even essential supplies have to be carried on the back. Our camera team walked with a group of people for 10 hours to reach Kalam in Upper Swat, an area now cut off from the outside world and encompassed by blankets of snow. For shopkeeper Shamsul Hadi, it's a constant struggle to keep the snow from threatening his family's mud hut. He says it's very difficult to get in rations for his shop. The cold already claimed the life of his 7-year-old son.
We don't even have the basic necessities of life. We are facing starvation. No medical facilities, no electricity, and no school for our children.
For now, his remaining children can also enjoy a small fire for a bit of warmth. Everyone here wants their government to reopen the road, but so far their pleas have fallen on deaf ears. The poor people of this region simply have to endure these tough times. And it seems they will have to do it on their own. Kamal Haider, AlJazeera, Swat.
To Africa now, and at least 36 people have been killed in a stampede in Mali. Over 60 others were injured in the accident on Monday. They're among the tens of thousands of people who attended a religious ceremony in a stadium in the capital. Panic swept through when the people were caught against a metal barrier while trying to leave the stadium. African leaders are meeting in Côte d'Ivoire to try to resolve the political standoff in that country. The meeting in Abidjan comes as Ivorian troops killed at least 6 anti-government protesters on Monday. President Laurent Gbagbo has refused to recognize the outcome of last November's presidential election, which favored his rival, Alassane Ouattara. Despite the bitterly cold temperatures, Chicago in the United States is in the grip of election fever, and a political prodigy is leading the polls to take over as mayor. Scott Heidler has more.
Rahm Emanuel had the ear of one of the most powerful men in the world, but he gave up his high-profile job as President Barack Obama's chief of staff in November, leaving to go back to his and the president's hometown of Chicago and run for mayor. Of the 6 candidates, Emanuel is the one with star power backing. To some voters, that's key.
The fact that the 2 presidents wanted him, that they